In anime, fire obeys no rules. It burns without fuel. It cannot be extinguished. It destroys everything it touches. In Game of Thrones, an entire fleet was swallowed by a fire that burned on water. Most people thought these were just good storytelling. They weren't. Real weapon, built by a real engineer, deployed on a real ocean over 1,300 years ago. (673 AD) Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, and the weapon you just saw, the one that turned the ocean into a furnace, was real. Its name was Greek fire, and to this day, no one has been able to fully recreate it. Before we talk about the weapon, we need to talk about the man. His name was Callinicos, and he was a refugee. In 636 AD, Arab forces swept through Syria following the Battle of Yarmouk, one of the most decisive military engagements in history. Cities fell, populations fled. Among the survivors making their way west to Constantinople was an architect and engineer named Callinicos of Heliopolis. He didn't arrive empty-handed. He carried with him knowledge of a flammable compound and something he'd been developing, or perhaps inherited from older engineering traditions, something no one in Constantinople had ever seen. The Byzantine Emperor Constantine IV listened, and what followed would change the outcome of one of history's most important sieges. Let's talk about the engineering, because Greek fire wasn't just a chemical, it was an entire weapon system, and it had 3 distinct delivery methods, each designed for a different kind of target. Method 1, the siphon. Byzantine warships called dromons were fitted with bronze tubes mounted at the prow, essentially the world's first flamethrowers. Pressurized by a pump mechanism, the liquid was forced through the tube and ignited as it left the nozzle, creating a sustained stream of fire that could reach enemy ships at close range. Method 2, the grenade. For longer range, the compound was sealed inside clay pots, essentially ceramic grenades, and launched by catapult or thrown by hand. On impact, the clay shattered, the liquid spread, and the fire followed. Method 3, the crane barrel. In harbor and fortress defense, barrels of Greek fire were suspended on cranes above siege positions and poured down onto attacking forces or ships below. 3 delivery systems, 1 underlying substance, and that substance had properties that contemporary armies had never encountered before. So what was it chemically? This is where history becomes a mystery, and where even modern chemists have struggled. We know a few things with reasonable confidence. The base ingredient was almost certainly a light petroleum or naphtha, a naturally occurring crude oil derivative likely sourced from deposits around the Black Sea and Crimea region. Naphtha burns hot, flows like liquid, and floats on water, which would explain the burns on water property. On top of that, historical sources suggest quicklime, sulfur, resin, and potassium nitrate were involved in some combination. Quicklime reacts violently with water, which could explain why water intensified rather than extinguished the fire. If quicklime was part of the mixture, water would trigger an exothermic reaction, generating more heat rather than less. Some researchers have proposed that the mixture was actually delivered in 2 parts, separated until the moment of deployment, with quicklime triggering spontaneous ignition on contact with water or air. This would explain how it could be ignited without a separate flame source and why it continued burning even when submerged. But here's what's honest. We don't know. Not with certainty. Every reconstruction is an educated guess. The formula was never written down in full, at least not in any document that survived. Here's what I keep coming back to. Greek fire wasn't lost because people were careless. It was lost because people were too careful. The Byzantines were so determined to keep the formula out of enemy hands that they built a secrecy system so airtight, it eventually locked them out too. There's an engineering lesson in that somewhere. A technology is only as durable as the knowledge infrastructure around it. When you build a weapon that only 3 people in the world understand, you're one bad century away from losing it forever. Huge thank you to everyone who's been watching and supporting Lost Blueprint. This channel exists because of you.